I know that most of you guys think the government's out to get you. You're very skeptical of anything government-oriented. In fact, you think that all the referees and all the leagues conspire against you so that your $4 16-leg parlay doesn't hit. You have that kind of way of thinking. But every once in a while, you go, you know what? Maybe they are out for my best interest. Maybe those guys who are concocting overs and unders in the Area 51 bunkers, they are going to come through for me. And after one little measly hiccup, Area 51 right back to their old tricks. They gave us that over 6.5 in the Jets-Detroit game. I was a little skeptical. I was like, my God, but Winnipeg's playing such good defense. How are we going to get there? Doesn't matter how they got there. They cooked up those numbers, and we eventually got there. I always tell you, you can sniff your own way, sniff your own way. One of the guys on my Patreon, he said, Andy, I trust your picks, but I always shave a little off. He sent me the 1 point for Morrissey, 1 point for Larkin, over 5.5. It's like, no, I trust what you're saying, but I'm just going to shave a little bit off. So kudos to him. And all you guys can always feel free to do those things, especially with the ruckus over same game parlays. And if you like yourself some ruckus, boy, you probably got excited when you looked at this Thursday night slate. There could be ruckus all over the place. You ever see that movie The Day After Tomorrow, where there's a natural disaster there, and there's a typhoon coming in here, and there's tornadoes in Los Angeles crippling the Hollywood sign? That's the level of potential ruckus on this Thursday slate. I know you looked and you saw, is that the Oilers and the Devils playing each other? Two teams who throw caution to the wind on defense and have mediocre goaltending? Yep. That's who's playing each other. And Edmonton's coming off 3 straight losses after ripping off like 8 straight wins. You know the deal with the Devils. They'll lose any game, any night against any team, including the Ducks and Flyers in back-to-back home games on their own home ice. Now you got Edmonton coming in there. What do we have to say? Over 6.5. Who we going with on each team? I'll go back to Nico Hischier for 1 point on the Devils side. Give me 2 points for Leon Draisaitl. He's really starting to warm up. And they actually broke up the top line last game. The Hyman, Nugent-Hopkins, and McDavid line. They broke that line up last game. So now that they're going to allow Draisaitl to play with one of those guys, then obviously he's on the top power play. He scored last game. I'm going to look for him to continue that heat up. So the over 6.5 with 2 from Draisaitl, 1 from Nico Hischier, and I actually like the Oilers in plus 1.5. If you're telling me this is going back and forth ruckus, give me the ruckus team who's getting a goal, because it will probably come down to some 5-4 overtime game or something like that. If you want to take the Oilers and add that plus 1.5 to the ruckus, feel free. You can also take that plus 1.5 and throw it with some other things, because I actually lean towards Edmonton in that game. Another potential ruckus game. I know you guys saw this one. Buffalo, Toronto. The epitome. I told you last week, if you look up ruckus in the dictionary, I was completely wrong. You look up ruckus in the dictionary, it was that 9-4 Columbus-Buffalo game the other night. It was utter ruckus, and we know Buffalo is one of the ruckus potential teams. Toronto, obviously, they eradicated a 5-goal lead against Columbus a couple days ago, and this one clearly has the potential makings for some ruckus. So we're going to go over 6.5. Yes. We're going to go over 1.5 points for Matthews and 1 point. Let's go with Casey Middlestat. He's really been benefiting since Jeff Skinner's been out of the lineup with an injury. I'm going 1 for Middlestat, 2 for Austin Matthews, and the over 6.5. There's more ruckus potential. And I know you were looking down and said, oh, wow, we even have Avalanche Senators. Sure, that one could be some potential ruckus too. But I'm going back to Area 51. They give us sneaky ruckus. Ruckus you weren't expecting. That girl who shows up on the first day of school and you're like, well, I didn't know she looked like that. Oh my God, that's some serious ruckus. And that's what they're saying about the over 6.5 in the Carolina Penguins game. And I guess I get it, because the Penguins, they're always capable of getting themselves involved with some ruckus. They're one of these teams who throws caution to the wind on defense on many occasions. Tristan Jarry's up and down. And then Carolina's coming in there after scoring 7 goals against the Stanley Cup, or 6 goals against the Stanley Cup champions, throwing them a beating. And now I guess this one does have the potential to go over. If it goes over, I do foresee Carolina winning, because I don't foresee Pittsburgh just running this up to 5-3 or something like that. If Pittsburgh wins, it's probably going to be of the lower scoring variety. If Carolina wins, I could see it going somewhat like last game. But I'll go over 6.5. 2 points for Aho. And one of the great things about Bet Rivers, it's not just the fact that you can take a player who's normally listed at 1 point for 2 points, that you can also take a guy who's normally listed at 2 points for 1 point. And that's what we're getting with Sidney Crosby. You can take Sidney Crosby, albeit it's going to be a big fat minus. You can take him for 1, Aho for 2, over 6.5. And if you want, I would add Carolina plus 1.5 to fulfill the maximum amount of ruckus in that same game parlay. And you go over there, you do that at Bet Rivers. If you're a new user over there and you sign up using the link down below, that first bet's going to be risk-free, up to $500 in some states, $250 in some others, $100 in the last few outside of those. How do you know? Click the link down below, go there, and it will tell you how much your first bet will be risk-free when you sign up. But always remember, if you or anybody you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. So yeah, those are 3 ruckus, how you doing ruckus, same game parlays to start your Thursday. But it's that kind of slate, and I needed to get it all out to you as soon as possible. So outside of that, I like the ruckus. That is a theme this year. You teach us something new every year. A lot of ruckus teachings this year. But you know what? We do still like to hear about sniffs. We want to sniff. You got a sniff? You got a dual nostril sniff or a single nostril sniff? Maybe both. Maybe both. And I got no congestion here on this Thursday. I heard a lot of people are sick around the country. There's, the viruses going around, the flu going around, some other things going around. But my nostrils are pretty clear, and I'm giving you an underdog, which you guys love. I'm taking the Columbus Blue Jackets for a variety of reasons. I know the reasons you guys are thinking, and yes, I think reason number 3 is the inevitable downfall of Washington. Number 2, Washington played last night traveling to Columbus. But number 1, you've been seeing these offensive outbursts from Columbus, albeit some of them are in losses, but you're talking about 6 goals against the Maple Leafs, 9 goals against Buffalo. Now they're coming home. We know that Washington has trouble scoring. So if Columbus is able to just score at a normal clip, that should be enough to take out a team who just went to overtime and has to play in back-to-back nights and has an older core. Give me the Columbus Blue Jackets for plus money at home. But that's not it. That's the single nostril. I'm giving you a dual nostril sniff. Minus 1.5. I'm taking the alt line on the Columbus Blue Jackets. And on top of that, give me the alt minus. You can do this on Bet Rivers too. Minus 1.5 for the Columbus Blue Jackets and Johnny Gaudreau for a point. And I know I'm thinking, you're thinking, we're all thinking 2 points because Gaudreau is really starting to play well. Couple points in a couple straight games. He had 2 points within the first 10 minutes of that game against Buffalo. But then again, everybody got themselves to 2 points. But I like the Columbus Blue Jackets against the Washington Capitals there. Now, while there may be a good amount of ruckus on this slate, all the young people love themselves some ruckus. Maybe there are a couple people who like to put on some ASMR before they go to sleep. They like something slow, relaxing. Hey, take it easy, Andy. I don't need all this ruckus in my life. I had no problem taking the under 6.5 Kings Kraken last night. That one worked out beautifully for me. It was 0-0 after 1, and we just relaxed. Can you give me a relaxing under? No problem, Franny. How about the under 6.5 with the Philadelphia Flyers and the Nashville Predators? How does that sound? Because it sounds good to me. You may have to bump it up depending on the site, if that's not too much to ask. Is that okay? Good. Under 6.5 in that game for old Fran. And that's what I have for you here on a packed Thursday. Good luck to you. But come on, better luck to me. You always knew that. Make sure you're subscribed here to the Odd Shopper channel. Come follow my YouTube page. I got my show Pickin' Corners on my YouTube page tomorrow night, which you'll be able to watch. I talk about some sniff theory and then take a first look at games for the upcoming weekend. You should definitely check that out. It's longer form, and I get to just relax a little bit. And maybe if you have any questions, you should follow me on social media and send them to me, and then I'll think about answering them, as long as you're not a disgusting, filthy orc. All right? Is that a fair trade? I think it is. I'll be back with you tomorrow to talk Friday bets. Take it easy.